Going on to the culture part of the podcast and attempting to make sure the camera's always in focus. Attempting. Appreciate your patience as we try to find new technologies to make the show better. Now, looks like the culture part of the podcast, you have Disney password crackdown and the pricing increases both beginning this month, and their stock takes a little bit of a dip. Now, some of the headlines are a little bit more sensational, a little more bombastic, and it looked like last week when this was announced, it went down by 1% or 2%, which, again, it's not good, but for a multi-billion-dollar company like Disney, it's not going to make or break the company. However, will these initiatives break it? Now, it looks like Disney will be increasing the price of even their no ad subscription, and very similar to Netflix, they're going to make it so you can no longer have password sharing. And of course, they're going to have it, of course, because they're a technology company, they know everything. It's going to be geo-locked in terms of they're going to constantly run analysis to see where are the people logging in from your account. Are they in the same house? Are they not in the same state? And apparently, depending on what package you get, you can only have so many people logging in from the same house. So they're starting to put a lot more restrictions on this. Now, this is partially because Disney Plus has never made a profit. It's not that they have one bad fiscal quarter, two bad fiscal quarters. They've never made a profit, ever. Now, this isn't the end of the world. Some of the most successful companies take years to make a profit. Perhaps one of the most best examples being Amazon.com. That took, I think, a couple decades where they were able to actually meet their first profit. Same with Tesla. There's a big sunk cost setting up the factories, research and development. It took years to become profitable. So that in and of itself, I don't think would be a concern for major investors for Disney. However, it's one of those things where they're not just losing money here. They're losing money in multiple categories at Disney through their, I would say, nearly unprecedented, I'd say pretty unprecedented moronic business leadership or lack of a modicum of intelligence as they inject politics into a major entertainment product that was originally designed for everyone, the mass audience. So instead of having the mass audience of everyone in the United States or the globe, they decided to go, let's go for a small segment, which for some industries makes sense, for some businesses makes sense. But given Disney, they were supposed to make a product for everyone. They weren't starting a business that's going after a niche clientele or a niche topic. They were specifically trying to make something for everyone. Now, they've kind of pigeonholed themselves. They're in a very specific political lane, and many people say that they're no longer child appropriate as they inject sexual themes into children's content. They've also gotten ridiculed for race swapping characters, and they're losing money left and right. Even their movies, which Disney used to basically print money for a living with movies. It was almost one of those things where it was a guaranteed hit. You look at the 90s, the 2000s, you look at earlier in the year, and not this year, many years back, if you look at a blue chip stock, there's traditionally a stock that's as close to a guarantee as you can get. It was a stable company that has really proven themselves to grow throughout history. It's not going to be like a big jump like a tech stock in many cases, but it's a consistent growth. They are no longer that. So they're losing money on Disney Plus. They're also losing money on movies. So by movies, they lost nearly $2 billion on films. Let that number sink in for a second. Nearly $2 billion from a company that, again, used to print money on every movie they made. It was almost as if they had King Midas's touch. Everything they touched seemingly turned to gold. Now, everything they touch seems to be turned to Bud Light, perhaps, would be an apt metaphor for a physical product that it could turn into. Because I was about to say lead, but lead has many actually good industrial uses. You got bullets, you got lead acid batteries. So yeah, I think Bud Light would be a good example. So it's the Bob Iger touch. Now, Bob Iger, again, he trained Bob Chapek, his protege. Bob Chapek took over about, I want to say, a year and a half ago, or 2 years. He took over for about a year, made some terrible business decisions, injected politics, took away membership benefits for the people who actually had memberships to go to the parks. And he failed so bad, Bob Iger came back to fix Disney. Now, when he came back a bit over a year ago, he said, okay, we're going to stop doing politics, we're done. We're going to get back to our roots. But then they got involved with politics with Florida, with the pejoratively named Don't Say Gay bill, which was just a bill that said teachers aren't allowed to talk about sex themes or identities with children. It wasn't specifically about any orientation, but it's pejoratively called that. And in terms of marketing, the people who are against the bill that worked because everyone calls it that to this day. But Disney tried to get involved and they said, oh yeah, we're against this bill. Which, again, there was no reason for you to do that. Unless they truly believe that kids need to learn about sex and need to be indoctrinated, which, thanks to some leaked emails and leaked videos, we know Disney employees want. They literally had emails leaked, internal meetings with Disney executives and Disney employees where they literally call it a gay agenda. People used to call that a conspiracy theory for decades. But now they're probably proclaiming it in internal meetings. So, again, that in and of itself, in the United States, introducing those themes and ideas to children is a controversial thing. And you're going to lose some of your audience members because of that. And as many people compare this to a political issue, in the United States, most political issues seem to kind of break down 50-50 with the left and the right, and you have some folks in the middle, of course. But again, you're basically alienated a huge part of your audience. Now, in the rare example, going back to the changes with Disney enacting where they're increasing the prices and they're getting rid of the password sharing. Now, interestingly enough, I thought that would tank Netflix in terms of the password sharing. It actually increased their revenue. I was shocked because an overwhelming majority of the time when you think of something where someone gets something for free, usually, not always, they don't value that thing because they're getting it for free. That's why in business it's very hard to move from giving a service or a product away for free to then moving to charging for it. It's a sales tactic. I know some companies are very fanful of that idea. They believe in it. As I've owned a couple small businesses throughout the years, I think more often than not, it does a disservice to that product or service because again, you're saying you're treating it like it's free. You're telling them that there's no value to that. And when it comes to password sharing, if you're getting the content for free, well, why would you actually pay for it? Now, Disney, even worse than Netflix, they've cut more content than any other streaming provider. Disney actually also owns a majority stake in Hulu as well. So they're raising the prices, also slashing the content by nearly 40%. And with Disney, they're much more politically divisive than Netflix. Don't get me wrong, Netflix does have main political charged films and activities, but Disney's been the lightning rod for a lot of these political conversations and cultural issues and discussions, more so than, I would say, nearly any media company. And again, they're losing money left and right. The parks are the only thing that made a profit, really. And that's partially thanks to the international Disney parks. So it does make sense. In the press release, I believe about 2 or 3 weeks ago, Disney said they're going to invest several $1 billion, double the previous investment over the same fiscal period, into the parks to make them better. Although they also have full-grown men dressing in dresses serving little girls at Disney now, which, again, that is more controversy. That is more of a cultural phenomenon, discussion. A lot of people are not comfortable with that. So they're doing more actions even at the parks, which are making them, the one thing making them money, they're introducing conflict and controversy when previously there was basically no controversy to the parks. And also, lastly, the parks, they're very expensive. I mean, when I was a kid, my family was middle income, and very privileged in the fact that, 2 parents household, never went hungry. And my parents strived for years to save up, and we were very blessed to have the opportunity where we had a family member who worked at one of the checkouts at Disney. They were their park employee, and even with their employee discount, we could barely afford to go there. And don't get me wrong, at the time it was a magical opportunity. I'll never forget that experience. It was great. It was magical. But even then it was prohibitive. It was very expensive. Now it's even more expensive. You're talking thousands of dollars. So I can't help but think Disney this is going to hurt them more than it did with Netflix. Netflix also had a little bit of a discount too. If you signed up as a family member or something like that, it seemed to be like they gave you a discounted rate. So it was like a discounted password sharing. In this case, let me know in the comments, do you think this will increase the number of paid Disney Plus subscribers? Or will this cause people to think, you know what, we have 40-year hyperinflation, my family's struggling, we have no idea. Businesses are scared who's going to become president because they don't know how rules and regulations are going to affect their businesses. There's a lot of uncertainty. They may have to lay people off. With all this uncertainty, a lot of people are starting to tighten their belts, which is an achievement in and of itself because Americans, the belts are pretty tight just because of our waistlines, unfortunately. So those developers are working hard, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, you don't need this. You're getting less content. It's increasing the price. I mean, it sounds silly, but you should have just kept your Disney VHSs. One of the nice things about physical media, you buy it, you own it. I was going to say VHS is actually, or video cassettes, I'm perhaps aging myself, they actually degrade over time, so it's better to get a DVD, or the DVD, as the youth might say, or that's even, actually no, I was about to say that's actually outdated as well. You get a Blu-ray disc, or download a digital copy to a external hard drive where it's not like to your profile, so they can't just delete it like some companies have in the past. So, I mean, this stock is struggling too. So this news only about 1 or 2% down. But if you look at the long term, moderately long term, 6-month trend, I mean, this stock's down 17.28%. So it went from about $98 per share all the way down to about $80.13 per share. To what used to be a blue chip stock. And I think the culture is shifting. I think, especially in the short term, when I say short term, I mean the next 12 to 24 months, I think more people are going to move away from Disney as they continue to inject politics and controversy into content. And they're creating their own competition. One of the fastest growing conservative media companies in the United States is the Daily Wire, headquartered out in Nashville, Tennessee. And they're going to start producing children content specifically because Disney is making this content. So it's a fascinating thing. We're actually creating their own competition. Very similar in technology when you have Cisco. They had some employees there who didn't feel appreciated. They went off and they founded Aruba Networks, which is one of the most successful networking companies on the planet. They were subsequently acquired by Hewlett Packard Enterprise. So it'll be interesting to see how much this helps fuel the competition. But let me know in the comments, are you canceling your Disney Plus subscription because of this price increase or the content being cut more and more? It'll be interesting to see where they go from here, but as a wise man once said, time shall tell. Thank you again for taking the time to tune in today. Again, I know it's ambitious, but we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of October. So if you can click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to take the time to like and comment. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Even if it's critical feedback, that's how we get the channel better and better, and it's how I improve. Also, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.